World's going mad with your cars. I tell you.
This will get you going, right? The bubble car. It just got us... It's Pauline in Leon Solent. Hi, Pauline. Says, our first car was a bubble car. It was turquoise. Steering wheel on the front door and no reverse. Great fun, but a bit troublesome if you park too near a wall.
Yeah, the whole front of the car opened. That was the only door.
The steering wheel was on the door and the whole thing opened to get out. How weird. And apparently they have not been made for many years, but there is a company in Germany who's just rolling them off the production line now. New ones. To be all electric, yeah.
Could be popular. They look blooming awful.
They look awful, but
yeah.
Maybe we should all be driving much smaller cars.
Maybe. Anyway, keep your thoughts coming through on that. gbviews@gbnews.com. Let's have a look at the papers. The Mail has revealed, talking of cars, there are more electric car chargers in Westminster than 6 major cities in the Midlands and the North combined.
Ooh, ouch, not a good look. The Guardian leads with a worrying story. New research has found that more than a third of foods labelled as vegan do actually contain animal products.
The Express reports that a series of MPs have warned the Prime Minister to move on from talking down Brexit.
And on page 12 of The Telegraph, there's a devastating picture of a collapsed house in Lviv. 5 people have died after another Russian attack on apartments there.
OK, let's go through some of those with writer and commentator Candice Holdsworth and broadcaster and podcast host Sean McDonald. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Both. Sean, let's start with The Mirror. Should we look at Fiona Phillips?
Yeah, this is a shame. Well-known TV favourite, Fiona Phillips, has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I think actually about 18 months ago, but she's only gone public recently, and she's been inundated with well wishes. She's only 62, so it's very young, and it's something that both her mother and father experienced and then both died from. Probably a lot of trepidation and worry for the poor women, but I think it's great.
It's affected so many members of her family, I think an uncle as well.
Really?
And somebody else's brother, I think. Yes, it's haunted her family.
Yeah, there's fresh drug hope. There's a drug that's been approved in America. It is called lecanemab. I think that's maybe how you're pronouncing it. It basically works by reversing pathological changes in the brain, and it finds and removes build-ups of a toxic protein called amyloid. I think Alzheimer's and dementia is something that impacts so many people. You know, I know people, I see it sort of daily, what it's like, and it is a real shame. I hope moving forward that we're able to find something that can help stop, reverse, or, I don't know, at some point just eradicate it.
Oh, that would be the hope. That would be the hope.
She's on a drugs trial now. She doesn't know whether she's taking the drug or the placebo.
Interesting,
but
that,
she
yeah.
is on the drugs trial.
Very interesting. I think it's great that she's come out. One of the main points she's made is that she said that her mother lives with a shame of it and a sort of embarrassment and didn't want people knowing. It's not your fault. I think it's great that she's taken that stance, and I'm glad to see that people are responding very supportively and warmly to her.
She's a lovely, lovely lady.
Let's have a look at the Mail, Candice. And this, we've just mentioned it there. Electric car chargers. Fine if you live in Westminster. Anywhere else in the country, you've had it.
Yes, yeah. So the Mail's reporting that London has a much greater number of charging points for electric cars. It has just over 2,000, whereas in Birmingham, Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester, they have about 1,500 combined. And that's such a problem because, I mean, I know people who have electric cars who live in the north, and they say you can arrive at a charging point and it's offline. There's not another one for miles. And so people are getting range anxiety and they don't want to buy an electric car because it's such a mission.
I'll tell you what, 2,000 in London doesn't sound a lot, though.
I know. But I think that they're also a lot closer together. Like where I live, for instance, there's loads. I mean, you can charge your car overnight. There's plenty around. You don't have to even think about it. And by 2030, obviously, we're going to make this big switch over. So the grid really needs to be up to scratch.
But if you charge your car overnight, I mean, aren't you taking up a charger there that somebody else could be wanting later on in the evening or something?
But it'll take that long to charge it.
Does it take that long to charge?
Yeah, and it's residential. It's in a residential area. So, I mean, it's where you park anyway. It's nearby where you live. So it's very, very, very
convenient. I didn't know you could turn up and find them offline.
Yes,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know somebody that has an electric car, and once a week I see her on Instagram lamenting either nowhere to charge or she doesn't have enough range to get anywhere. So I really don't see how this is feasible by 2030, that we will have this changeover. I just don't see is.
Who knows what we're going to do in terms of charging points and in terms of battery life, which is the key. There's a bigger range.
Yeah.
They're really going to be working on it because think of all the big manufacturers. Regardless your Fords, all the rest of it, but your Mercedes, your BMWs, your Jaguars, they're all going to have to be producing cars that are going to work.
I only recently just learned, because I was always saying, why can't it just charge as it moves? And it's because it's unable to cool. So they're going to have to come up with that technology. Like a normal engine can have coolant running through it and allow it to keep going, whereas this has to stop. It has to cool down. So that seems to be the first barrier. But I just don't see how. I really just don't see that we'll get to there by 2030. I hope I'm wrong. Well, I don't know if I hope I'm wrong, actually. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I've got a hybrid which charges as it moves, but it's a petrol hybrid.
Yeah.
So it takes petrol as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you can have an electric car, no petrol, but still able to have coolant.
As far as I'm aware, no, but I could be wrong. But it's just because I thought I heard it the other day. And
Well, it
I
would
thought,
be sensible.
That answers that,
I mean,
that sort of answer.
that'd be your perfect solution, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come up with it. They're clever people working in these things.
Yeah. Put a solar panel on your roof.
Might be the way to do it. What's this in the Times, Sean, about safeguarding the next generation online?
Yeah, so we've got the online safety bill, which is currently in the House of Lords, and it's basically, they're saying that there has to be AI-driven technologies to verify or estimate age in order to protect children. So this is AI that can identify the age of someone from their voice, and it has been certified for use in the UK to protect children from online harms. There's obviously an omnipotence about the internet. Kids are going to... It's everywhere. It permeates all society. They've got a phone in their hands. There have to be ways to protect kids from whether it's pornographic content, dangerous content such as accessing stuff with regards to eating disorders, suicide, you name it. Most online services currently require users to self-verify their age. It's kind of like when you watch iPlayer and it says, do you have a TV licence? Has anyone ever clicked no?
No.
So you're never going to grass yourself in. There's a Portuguese company that's come up with tools that can identify a child by the way they use a mouse and a keyboard, which is very fascinating.
How many have mice and
Yeah, true.
I mean, most children just are on their phones.
That's true, yeah. That's true. When was the last time you used a mouse, actually?
A long time ago.
Yeah, because you're just using your laptop. Because I think it is very relevant, though. Like, TikTok were recently fined £12.7 million because they were found to have, like, I don't know if it was in the millions of under-13s, which is against their own terms of service, using the app. So I think definitely a positive step, because obviously with the proliferation of AI, and, you know, the kids younger and younger. There's a baby in my family. We gave him the phone, and he's like that pinching the picture. That creeped me.
It's very intuitive.
That's some Black Mirror stuff.
Wow.
Very. But I think with pornography, we know now that children are accessing it at a younger and a younger age. So if we could have more strict verification, if this AI is reliable as they say it is, I think that's a very important one.
But you can get voice changes, can't you? Really easily.
That's the thing, it catches up.
Well, talking about voice changers, there's a video that's circulating right now, and it's Martin Lewis.
Oh, that's...
And it's a deep fake of him giving some terrible advice in order to lure people in. That's some terrifying stuff.
That is scary, actually.
Yeah.
Because it does...
You can be recorded saying something you never said.
Yeah.
I'm not like into being a very draconian state or sort of a dystopia, but honest to God, I would say if you're found creating that stuff, you need to throw the book at people, because that could ruin lives, create wars, destroy societies.
Oh, yeah, no, it really could. I mean, you're going to reach a point where you're just not going to be able to believe anything that you see.
I know.
Which is worrying. How about not believing a packet if it says it's got the food is vegan?
Yes.
It's in The Guardian, there's going to be uproar.
Yeah. So this is actually quite worrying, though, if you have allergies. So The Guardian is reporting a story that inspectors from Kent and Hampshire, food inspectors, they found that a third of products that say, vegan products that say they don't contain egg and dairy, they contain traces of it. And that I know people who have egg allergies. And I mean, they're paranoid about what they eat. They have to inspect everything. So this is actually pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I think these things need a lot more scrutiny than they're getting.
Well, what do we mean by traces?
There's just like just slight bits of egg and dairy in them.
Can that be enough to trigger like a
Yes,
reaction?
if you have a serious egg allergy.
But if you're that ill, when you probably shouldn't be buying stuff that's already pre-packaged anyhow.
This is the thing. But then there was that case a few years ago with that girl with a nut allergy who bought a sandwich at the airport because it said it was nut-free, and then she had a...
She died on the plane.
Yeah, she went into anaphylactic shock.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, is that how you have to live your life, though? Like, not trusting? I suppose you do, right?
If you have these sort of serious allergies, I never know quite what to make of it all. I mean, I've never heard of a serious egg allergy before.
Yeah, no,
Nut allergies didn't exist when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just like... So I think we need to start looking at why are these things happening.
So
do
true.
we need to start giving children eggs and nuts from a very early age? And all that sort of...
Yeah, because, I mean, I gave my children... I didn't even know that you weren't supposed to give them peanut butter until they were 6 months old, and I gave it to them when they were younger, and now they're saying, no, it's good. They should be exposed to it. It's actually important.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Every day's a school day. I didn't know that. So, well, you can prevent allergies by having exposure to certain foods?
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
The immune system's developing.
Give them a couple of eggs
I mean,
and
you're
peanut
quite
butter.
right. You can't help but think 30-odd years ago, you never heard of peanut allergies or anything that bad.
Well, I've heard it's because they try to... in schools, they try to protect children who had nut allergies by not giving anyone peanut butter.
Yeah.
But then that's had the opposite of effect of then no one gets exposed to nuts, and it sort of exacerbates the problem.
Take your baby to the pub and get it a packet of dry roasted.
Well, exactly. Oh.
Do you not like
Not
dry
baby.
Oh,
roasted?
I love dry roast.
So do I.
Not baby, though.
Okay, sit outside.
Yeah.
A family-friendly pub.
Best bit of dry roast is when you get to the bottom of the pack.
And it's all
And
the
you've got all
dust.
It's the dust. You should be able to
But that's all
buy...
chemical, that dust, isn't it?
I don't know. You should be able to...
It's
you
good, though. I love it.
You should be able to buy packs of dry roasted peanut dust.
Are we allowed to say any dry roasted peanut company names in the hope that they send us something?
Very niche, like
It works
something
like
that
that.
you could do that someone would like, actually. Like just like the little dust at the bottom, the salty dust.
I would buy that.
Yeah, me too.
By the crate
It'd be
load.
very bad for you because it's nothing but chemicals.
Tasty.
Colourings.
Anyway, on that lovely note, we've got to leave it. Sean, Candice, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
indeed. See you a little bit later on.